Navy.
High fashion, Old Navy. Valid 8/10 to 8/23. Excludes clearance.
Hello. Welcome to AstroEnergy with Astrologer Angel Shelley Overton. Hello, and welcome to the August 15th edition, 2017, of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and it's good to be here with you today. Hopefully, we will have a fairly cool, temperate day. It started out lovely in the 70s, but it's 84 already, on its way up to 89. So I think today it might be a little bit cooler. I'm crossing my fingers. I spent yesterday outside and ended up with a sunburn. Could not find any sunscreen at all and had to do some work outside. So hopefully it won't be quite as hot. And let me tell you, it was hot. It's the humid heat, not the dry heat. So lots to talk about today. We have so much going on. I was doing a little research here in advance of the show, seeing a little bit of, doing some research and trying to see what all was going on with dates and charts for Charlottesville. And also, I don't know if you heard, but Sierra Leone had a huge mudslide. And I was interested in looking at that because one of the things I do as an astrologer is research. And I love research. I'm a Scorpio moon, Scorpio Neptune, and Scorpio rising. So I'm all about the research and seeking out information from the mystery. And that's probably huge part of the drive that I have for astrology. So I want to start with Sierra Leone because it was really interesting to me. In the process of researching what happened there, I always research the incorporation date of the place where it happened. And so I found out Sierra Leone was incorporated in 1792. And so the people who actually founded it, the original founders, were a group of former slaves. They had gone there from England, and also a group of religious leaders from America and former slaves from America. So they were actually African Americans. According to the Wikipedia page, they were African Americans, and they went back to Africa. So I thought that was a really interesting connection to what's going on in America right now, and keeping in mind again that our Pluto in Capricorn is about 11 degrees off of where it is right now when this country was founded. So it is a very close tie to a lot of the original energy that our country had, and that's all coming out now, including what happened in Charlottesville. So I just found that a really interesting connection between the two energies of what was going on. And so the mudslide, first off, I looked at the mudslide, and interestingly, it happened at 6 o'clock August 14th in Freetown, Sierra Leone. And what happened at that point in the chart was a grand trine in Earth. So again, I had mentioned last week in the Mercury retrograde show that there would be accidents, and the connection to Earth being that Mercury is retrograde now in an Earth sign. It happened not long after Mercury went retrograde on Sunday. So again, it was the 13th. Let me just look it up here real quick because so much stuff. I have charts all over the place, windows on the browser. The chat room is open. Anybody wants to go in and chat with other people. Mercury retrograded at 9 p.m. That's Eastern time on Saturday the 12th, and at 6 p.m. Pacific. So within 2 days of that going retrograde, what happened was the moon went into Taurus. And so Taurus was at 11 degrees. Mercury retrograde was at 11 degrees Virgo. And then we had the Pluto retrograde at 17 degrees Capricorn. So the grand trine in Earth, again, Mercury retrograde and the trine energy. You know, I've said it in the past, but this just kind of puts a finer point on it, that trines can create a negative before there is a positive. And when you have a grand trine, that means that all planets or lights, which the moon is considered a light, are in 120 degrees apart from each other, and they're all in that triangle around the Earth. So it's kind of like crosshairs for the Earth, what's going on with the Earth. And so there's a tremendous amount of energy, not only going on with the Earth energy, but also with the fact that it's a trine, and Mercury is retrograde. So, and for those of you who aren't real familiar with the Mercury retrograde, I suggest you try and find last week's show. It's in my archives, and you can listen to it because there's some information there. And pretty much any Mercury retrograde, if you go back to the archives and listen, you can find a lot of information about that. So Sierra Leone particularly has Venus in Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius. So Uranus is a very strong energy for that country, or for that particular town. This is Freetown. And at the time of the mudslide, Mars was at 15 degrees Leo, and it was directly on the Uranus at 15 degrees Leo retrograde in the Sierra Leone chart. So all I find when I research the cities is that the date. I don't usually find a time of incorporation. So when I did a midnight incorporation that puts Saturn retrograde within 5 degrees of the rising sign of Freetown, it puts Pluto exactly on the cusp of the second house, which again is the physicality of the town, and it puts Venus in the end degree within 4 degrees of the end degree of the second house, the Earth house of Taurus. It puts Saturn just over the cusp of home and into children. And it also puts the moon in Taurus in the house of children and creativity. So the Earth energy straddles the cusp of children and work and health. And then Mars is at the last 2 degrees of the house of death and rebirth on Uranus. So I know Sierra Leone has had tremendous amount of difficulty in with clashes and what's going on there. But Mars is on Uranus right now, so it expressed, and interestingly, Leo is in conjunct to Taurus energy, and so that makes it a more difficult energy when things are in conjunct. So the in conjunct to that Mars-Uranus conjunction is definitely going to create an unexpected event, and then all the Earth trine energy created the opportunity for a mudslide. Mercury retrograde, again, rains. It is a country with a lot of rain. It has a rainy season. So I'm keeping fairly unemotional about this because I get very emotional about things like this, especially when children are involved and people are caught unaware. And so it's difficult for me to get into any more of the emotional side. But if you look at it from a purely analytical standpoint, which I'm sorry, again, it seems kind of cold, but I have to because otherwise I'll be sitting here crying on air, which I don't want to do. My heart does go out to the people and definitely put them in my prayers. But it is very much an expression of that Mercury energy that you can see very strongly in that chart. And again, also there is still some grand trine energy with what happened in Charlottesville. And again, Mars at 14 degrees Leo within 6 of the Sun. We have a direct opposition, well, not exact, but fairly close, Venus to Pluto at that time. So desires and the energy of Cancer is about security and the opposition to Pluto. So it's security and structure, but Pluto's retrograde. So normally if there were a Venus opposition to Pluto, there could be maybe seen more of working in tandem, but with this energy, it came out because it was a grand cross in the sky that day. As far as within degrees, it wasn't exact, but it was very close. So Venus was at 14 Cancer, Jupiter squaring it at 18 Libra, Jupiter squaring Pluto at 17 Capricorn, and the moon was at 20 Aries opposite Jupiter and square to Venus, and within 8 degrees of Uranus retrograde. So Uranus and Moon were actually moving towards each other on that date. And then again, Mercury being the trickster, he was within hours of going retrograde directly on Neptune. So he was 11 degrees Virgo and Neptune at 13 degrees Pisces. So if you want, I've got 1:42 p.m. Charlottesville, Virginia, August 12th, 2017. If you have a program, if not, you can go to alab.com. They have free charts. You can go on there and enter in that information. Again, it's August 12th, 2017, 1:42 p.m. Charlottesville is when the man ran the car into the protesters. So, Venus was in the 8th house at that point, and there was a Scorpio rising, which is also death and rebirth and passions. And, of course, Pluto opposite Venus, Pluto being in the 2nd house of people and physicality, with Saturn also in that house, 1 degree in trine to Leo, in trine to the Moon, and basically a grand trine by fire. And then Venus was in the 8th house, ruled by Scorpio. So, and again, like I mentioned, these events to give you an opportunity. Not to be inconsiderate or cold, but definitely my heart goes out to everybody who has been affected by these events, and my prayers as well. I give you these because they are significant events that usually have more dramatic illustrations of astrology. And you can see in this chart another grand trine. There's the cardinal cross again in that chart as well. But when you say, well, why does it happen there and not somewhere else or any other event? It happens because that town has planets that interact with what's going on in the sky. That's what astrology is. You see events take place in places that have particular triggers and particular positioning that interact with what's going on in the sky at any given moment. So that's why we see things all over the world at different times, is because we may have a certain type of energy going on, like, Charlottesville, that's all over the South, but why did it happen in Charlottesville? Because for whatever incorporation time, or, the time where people got together in that area and said, this is when we give birth to a city, that's the moment in time that is imprinted into the collective of that place. So when the planets transit across that area or across those points of that collective consciousness, then they're triggered. And it manifests on an earth plane based on that. So that's really kind of the bottom line for why events happen to all of us. So, at least as an astrologer. Of course, I have a lot of other beliefs too. Being a Buddhist, and everybody has this. You're a daughter or a son or a father or a mother, and you have a collective ideology and way you think and belief system, dogma, that can come out, and it's triggered by different events that astrology can bring out. And I want to say it is physics. I was reading something this week on why astrology, why it doesn't work or something like that, and they were citing science and physics, and I'm like, well, it is physics, because light energy comes off of these planets, which light does reach Earth. It is an energy form. There are plenty of molecules out there that are raging through the universe with different qualities: magnetism, gravity, like I said, light energy, radio frequency, things we can't even see, ultraviolet light. So many things coming off of the planets, and we are affected by those every single day. So I find it rather ridiculous for anybody who claims scientifically that astrology doesn't work. We're always being affected by this. We're affected by another person walking into our environment who has a certain energy. They may be depressed and you were in a good mood until you were around them, and then they may say something. That's the action acting out. That could be a Mars energy coming at you. But people affect this. My cat came into my life a year and a half ago. That affects me. Like astrology very much has basis in physics. So I just wanted to address that as well. I have a lot on my plate today to address. So anyway, where was I at? So I've got a lot to talk about too, and I've already spent 15 minutes talking about these other events. Okay, so and I just realized that I titled this, I believe, Venus squaring Pluto. It wasn't Venus squaring Pluto. It's actually Venus squaring, or let me look at it so I don't get it wrong again. I think Venus squaring Jupiter. So that happens this Thursday at 3:01 p.m. And I'm going to get these out of the way and then go into a little bit more what's going on in the chart, and then I will take calls. And if you want to talk to me, the number is 347-994-3365. But so Jupiter Venus. How did I get that wrong again? I swear I looked directly at it before the show. Oh, that's why. Okay, because I'm on the wrong week. There we are. It is Venus square Jupiter. I apologize. So that happens the 17th because, I'm a week ahead. Okay, so the 17th is day after tomorrow, and Venus squares Jupiter in Libra, so Venus in Cancer. And I find this an interesting energy, having Cancer square Libra, because Cancer is really the connectedness of family, and it does relate people to their home environment and who's in that. And then Libra is also a connector. It wants to balance things. And to me, that would seem very cooperative, especially the Libra energy, because Libra wants to balance. But when you have Cancer, which wants security and wants really can be rather materialistic, especially when they are interacting with family. And Libra is not a very materialistic sign. It is actually kind of the antithesis of it. They give away things to more needy people, and not that Cancer isn't nurturing or considerate of other people, but Cancer tends to prioritize security and financial security. So when you have any planet in Cancer squaring a Libra planet, you're going to find that maybe there is some security that is in question. And in this case, Jupiter, like I've said before, can polarize energy, and in Libra it polarizes spouses, it polarizes partners, partnership, business. And Venus in Cancer wants to have a more connectedness to the home and uses the home as a protective security structure. So Jupiter squaring Cancer means that there may be a disconnect between what's going on with desires around the home and what's going on with Jupiterian energy, which wants to move on and go somewhere else. So when you put these two together, what it reads as, there's a disruption in the home, and entities could be at odds, not get along, and if there is a certain level of commitment, they can make it through this. But a lot of times you're going to see people parting ways at this point. And really looking at the chart, now that the moon is past Aries, which a couple days ago the moon was in Aries, like I said, on the 12th, and that creates friction and cracks in the relationship because there was a grand cross going on. And it is a continuation of that storyline that's been going on for a couple of years since Pluto and Uranus were squaring each other directly in the cardinal signs. So that energy is really potent coming up on Thursday. So there could be a very strong difference of opinion. For those of you who are influenced by either sign, you're going to see that Jupiter in Libra wants to pay more attention to the needs of the self right now, where normally they want to balance it and everybody get along. Right now, Jupiter is saying, no, I need to have my needs met first, and I'm going to nurture myself and, tend to my own personal needs, which Venus in Cancer, probably also with the Pluto in Capricorn, can be long-suffering and say, I give myself to everybody and I need some attention here. And the other person in your life is being influenced by Jupiter and Libra, and they're saying, I'm sorry, I can't give that to you anymore right now, either right now or ever, and that we're just at odds and we're not going to see eye to eye again. So you've got a lot of intense energy going on in the sky right now. And I just want to say, thankfully, the moon is not part of this grand cross anymore and is in Gemini, which is a little bit lighter in energy. But I would caution you to watch out for people who maybe say one thing and do another. Gemini, the twins, they're dualistic. And so, we've got also the moon coming into square with Mercury today. So that's going to be something for a heads up because, as you can tell, for some reason, I got 4 planets in Virgo. The Mercury is in Virgo, and it's also in my own sign. So I feel a little bit more crisp today, a little bit more analytical and not quite as emotional. But the moon in an air sign will also bring that out because Mercury rules the moon now because it's in Gemini and Mercury rules Gemini. So for the next 2.5 days, literally the moon just went in. It was at 0 degrees and 27 minutes when the show started, actually at 10:51 in Orlando. So it literally just went in. And so we're going to feel it for the next 2.5 days, and it's probably going to be a heightened time of accidents and also words that wound. They will be critical words, they will be analytical words, and they will also be likely devoid of a lot of emotion. Neptune's retrograde, so we don't really have a balancing of the Neptune watery emotional energy. We've got Mars and Sun in Leo, and they are in fire energy. Saturn's retrograde in fire energy. We have Jupiter in an air sign and Pluto retrograde in Earth. It's a little cold, and so interestingly, we are getting cooler temperatures here. I can feel it. I went out for a walk I was outside last night, and I felt like, wow, it actually feels like fall, and it's only August. And I think part of that is the planetary positions and also Mercury in Virgo, which it will get back into some warm signs, but some Leo, but only briefly. I think it's only going to be there for about a week, and then it'll go back into Virgo. And so we will get a little bit of the cooler weather, and then we'll get some more warm, and then we're going to get some cool again. So I'll tell you the timeline on that. Hang on one quick second. So first week of September actually is probably going to be like, really warm time of year, just because we'll have Mercury back in Leo, which again will have a little blip of some fire energy. I would say also Mercury retrograde and the heat, that's probably a big week for hurricane energy, which thankfully I just said that because I wanted to also point out, and it's a great segue into next week, the eclipse is coming up, and I was looking at the Weather Channel, and there is a tropical storm now. Keep in mind, it's Monday of next week. This is very significant. This eclipse makes a swatch from one end of the country to the other, right across the middle section. It is very intense energy. Again, reminder, don't look at it directly. Use something because you can actually burn your retinas. Don't do that. It is definitely an energy that brings out more events in the world. And since there is, and I was looking for this specifically, I went on weather.com. So there's a hurricane that Gert, it's called Gert. And I have to say, I thought, isn't there like some kind of digestive issue called Gert? But that's the name of the current storm system that's off the coast right now. But right behind it is Harvey. Harvey is the one I am concerned about. Right now they have a cone that comes towards Puerto Rico. It will be the one tropical depression that's kind of in the making right now as we get to the eclipse. Again, with the eclipse energy, you're going to have intensified energy is going to be in the sign of Leo. The opposite of Leo is Aquarius. The south node is in Aquarius. The north node's in Leo, and it's at 28 degrees. So it's intense energy, especially Uranus now is retrograde, and it's in a fire sign, so that means, and it's at 28 degrees, the exact degree of the eclipse. So again, trine energy is very powerful. The eclipse, moon and sun are going to be trining Uranus, and let's see, that would put, and also a trine within, well, 7 degrees to Saturn in Sagittarius. It is going to be another event, absolutely not just a viewing event, but there will be major, I would say probably hurricane or storm events because of the Uranus connection, and also Mercury retrograde energy, which again is kind of trotting right back towards Leo. So look out for that. Definitely prepare for that. I'm going to take my own advice and get extra water, but I would say Harvey is probably going to be the bigger threat at this point. And just be aware that it's another week of, well, it's going to be another few weeks of accidents, earth energy, storms, electrical fire, those kind of things. So, and what was the last? Oh, yes, so the solar eclipse. So pretty much whatever house it falls into for you, you're going to experience major shifts around how you take action on things, specifically taking action, because it is a fire sign, fire energy. It is the end degrees, and so it is really trying to wrap up the story, especially because Leo is the story. Leo tells the tale. It's the conclusion or story being wrapped up. It also, again, has to do with children. It can do with family or the expression of family, and generally children are kind of the, as you think of a family unit, you have children and you send them out into the world, so they're kind of like the little rockets going out into the world on your behalf. So it can encompass children or creativity, creative nature, definitely drama. And yeah, and I noticed also that the Powerball, or I think, yeah, it's Powerball, I believe, is up to around $400 million. That's a Leo thing. Leo rules gambling, and there's a lot of energy going into that. It'll be interesting to see if anybody wins it Wednesday or if they win it closer to the eclipse, which would be Saturday. But anyway, yeah, I honestly want to tell you more about the eclipse, but I mean, I'm giving you some information, but honestly, I want to kind of save some of it for the callers, because I know most people calling are probably going to be asking about how it affects their chart. I know I would be if I didn't know astrology. I'd be wanting to know that. So I'm going to take a quick break here, and I'll come back and take your calls.
Jupiter conspire to get me. I think you and the moon and Neptune got it right. I think you and the moon and Neptune got it right. 'Cause now I'm shining bright.
Oh, I love that song. That's Bright by Echo Smith. I love that song. Anyway, my name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and you are listening to the AstroEnergy Show on Blog Talk Radio. I am happy to be here and happy that you're here. So why don't we go to the phone lines and take some calls? 561, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, is this James?
It's me.
Hey, me. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm just being silly today, aren't I?
That's okay. I'm silly all the time.
You know what? Anymore? Thank goodness for the silly people. I am so tired of all the negativity. Let's have some fun. So what's going on for you? What would you like to know about?
I am one of those who wants to know how the heck this eclipse will be affecting me.
I know, right?
Because I'm already tired.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't it the most exhausting? Well, I have to tell you real quick, there's a guy on YouTube. He's really interesting. He's from Long Island or New Jersey or something, and he's kind of, like that type of guy. I mean, a little bit edgy, and he has this whole series of videos that he talks about, like, the upcoming ascension or, like raising your vibration and how it affects you. But it's really interesting because he does it kind of from the standpoint of, nobody you would think would be into this kind of thing. He's kind of like a rapper almost, and yeah, he was talking about this eclipse energy and just what you have, like how it's affecting us and how it can make you feel rather depressed. Like when things are changing, and the reason I bring it up is because things are really changing, and as we get more in tune to that higher energy and the higher vibration, and we start to pay attention to what Spirit is really telling us, like our bodies start to shift. You don't want to eat certain foods. You might be awake at 3 a.m. and you don't know why. You get strange sleep cycles. All these things that happen when we start to awaken, so to speak. They're coming out, and he mentioned how you're changing. There was a video about you're changing and things are about to change for you when these things happen. And one of it was when you're feeling really like depressed and feel like everything's collapsing in on you. And I found that really interesting because I'd never heard anybody that I listened to, psychics or mediums or people who are into, quantum physics or any place that I listened to, explain that. And I thought, yeah, that's really true, because what happens is we put this energy out, which is, the power of what's going on with the eclipse is about change, and we're all being asked to look at things. And when we have these strong desires to change, we put it out there in the universe, and that's kind of either our desire, which is like a prayer, or actual prayers. And then what happens is we get the response, and the response can mean breaking down of old structures. And then when we go through that, we're like, what the heck? I don't want this. It's just getting worse. It's like getting worse because we're about to change, and we have to be pushed out to the new realm, the new world that we're going to be living in. So really, from that standpoint, I absolutely agree with that idea, because I've seen it in my own life and I see it in society now. And I think if you can take all the negative that's going on and put a positive on it, it would be that we are purging. We are getting rid of the old way of thinking. We are seeing it for what it is, which is Saturn and Sagittarius. And we are coming to grips with, we may not like it, it's ugly, but it's our wounding, and we need to clean it out and heal it. And so for you, that falls in the third house of communications and thought and creativity, because that is the Leo energy in your chart. So what was the story you've told yourself about the value of what you have to tell people and how you take ownership and authority over your creative vision? because that
Wow.
is what that is. It's the third house communications. It's Leo, which is, again, telling the story, the drama, the creativity. It can be the actor. Like, it can be, I got chills all over my legs talking to you about this. So, whatever story that has been holding you back, and it's Leo, so it's childhood too. But I'm looking at your chart. You don't have any planets in the third house other than the ones that are transiting. And people ask me all the time, what does that mean? It just means that when planets do transit that house, and they can affect you and bring out some of the energy that isn't necessarily an ongoing story for you, but maybe more of a transient story, unless it's a slower moving planet, in which case it's a little bit longer. But for you, it's the Sun and Mars and the North Node, which means it's bringing you tremendous fortune. You've got to take the risk. That's what it's wanting you to do. Mm-hmm. Mars, taking the action. Leo, owning that authority. It's the lion. Think of the lion in The Wizard of Oz. He's the Leo. He's like, oh, I can't do that, and I had it all along. And this is your, oh, I had it all along moment. Okay? Does that resonate?
Wow. Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, though. I mean, it's all, you've got 3 planets in Aries, so you're really getting, and right now, Mars is directly trining your Mercury, Venus, and Aries conjunction, because both those planets were conjunct in your natal chart. So really strong energy around finding your soul group, finding your voice, especially with Aquarius energy is also, and Uranus in Aries is up there in its own house in your chart. So it's about the inventiveness that you have been feeling, and also your connectedness to spirit, like the claircognizant side of you, where I just know it's true. I just know this is what I need to be doing. Why are you not listening to that? This moon, moon and sun, the eclipse, is going to be triggering that side of you. You have a lot of intense energy and fire in your chart right now, a lot. Saturn's also wanting you to move forward with maybe teaching. Do you have any way of being a teacher and expressing that spiritual fire energy that you have burning in you? Because Saturn's directly on your Uranus, also in the house of work and health.
Wow. That's totally what I've been feeling. Totally.
It's pretty amazing. Astrology's awesome, isn't it? I just love it.
It's the best. Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you for that confirmation.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
and
not
also,
going crazy.
No, stop it. Oh, people, I just want to go smack them. You are not going crazy because you are actually, for the first time, listening to your inner voice. That means that nothing comes in a linear fashion. Linear is external. Linear is ego. Internal is quantum. It comes from all directions. It doesn't have logic, because quantum means that we see our lives from a broader perspective, and there's no way we can know everything from our eyes and ears alone. We have to have a spirit, a psychic awareness, a broader perspective, and I love that term because it brings in energy and ideas and understanding from things that are random. It's letting go of control. A huge Pluto in Capricorn energy is learning to let go of control. So, okay, this is the last thing. I'm going to stop my rant after this because I have a lot of callers. But so Uranus rules astrology, and it rules that quantum thinking. And that's in your house that Uranus rules, which is the 11th house. And it's also got, the chart right now has Saturn on your natal Uranus in Sagittarius. So it's really bringing out this strong quantum energy of just understanding, just knowing. And it does also bring a strong connection to astrology because of that energy. And it's going to get stronger, as it goes on. Pluto gets into Aquarius in 2024, so we'll feel like this renaissance of people actually paying attention to astrology more. It'll start happening after the turn of the decade. So if you have any interest in that, you could also do something with that, because Saturn on Uranus in your chart, you could do that if you want.
Oh, that's so
okay?
Good. Wow. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. You just triggered something in me.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call, James. Talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye. All right, let's go to, well, I don't know if my computer is able to keep up with my intense energy right now, but 909. Hi, 909. How are you?
Hi, Shelley. How are you?
I'm good. Who is this?
This is Angie.
Angie, have you called the show before?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have
I
a
have,
different number?
No.
Area code. Okay, because the area
No.
code I have is 909, and if and I don't have you in my database, so I'm going to need your birth information again, and then after you give it to me, you can tell me what you would like to find out. Okay.
Okay. Well, like you said, I want to know how this eclipse is affecting my chart, and because I did have a reading.
Whoa. Angie.
Uh-huh.
If you give me your birth information, you can tell me. That gives me time to get ready. So if you give me your birth date, place, and time, and then you can tell me, and that will kind of, because I have to put the information in and get it going. And then if you tell me, that'll help. So go ahead.
Sure. August 13th or August 17th.
Happy birthday.
1964. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And what time?
3:07 p.m. in Torrance, California.
Okay. All right. And you want to know the eclipse information as well?
Yes. And as I was saying, I did have a reading with you, and we discovered in my reading, because we talked about my husband's chart, we have you call them flip-flop charts, where my houses and everything is opposite.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So I also wanted to see how. Yeah.
I could have found your chart, but I didn't realize you were a client. So, but that's fine, because now if you call the show, then at least I'll have it on the show. Yeah. So that's good. All right, wonderful. So we talked about the flip flop because of that. And was his chart the flip flop, or was yours?
Well, where his seventh house is my first house. Those planets. Yeah.
Right.
Those,
so he has the opposite rising sign. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, so you kind of fit in like a yin-yang symbol in your charts. So are you wanting to know more about anything connected with him, or you just want to know about you? The eclipse?
Just overall the eclipse and how it would affect both of those charts like that.
Okay.
Because
I'm going to have to go.
I think it falls in his third, and then it falls in my ninth. His Leo is the third, and mine is the ninth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give me the first letter of your last name, not your last name, just the first letter.
B.
Okay. I just gotta find out.
Boy.
Oh, I don't see you in my chart there. Okay. I don't have his chart handy. I'm sorry. So, do you want to give me his too?
Sure.
Okay.
12/3/60.
3, you said?
Yes. 1960.
Okay.
Montebello, California, at 5:25 p.m.
Okay, great. Okay. There we go. All right. Hang on one second while I finish up here and save that. And there we go. Okay. So, yeah, he's going to be affected, again, kind of like the last caller, around communications and also entrepreneurship and creative things that he does by himself. He's got Uranus at 25 Leo, and so the eclipse will be within 3 degrees of his Uranus in the house of communications. So it is about kind of showing off the drama and the brilliance and taking center stage. It could be something to do with broadcasting. Does he have anything to do with broadcasting with his Gemini rising?
No, but I'm sure he would love to.
Yeah, he has a gift of gab, it looks like, or storytelling, again, the Leo energy.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just seeing where his Saturn is. He has Saturn in Capricorn. So, yeah, he's going through some shifts. I'm trying to see, let's see, the opposite. It's around education on one aspect and learning and teaching. Teaching could be part of it as well. It all encompasses art, communications, drama, theater, comedy even. There's a lot of different things that could be brought in with these planetary combinations. Writing children's books, writing children's television, podcasting, anything that deals with communication and broad communications across the masses. It's also connection to his soul group, and on some level, and also children, the energy of teaching children, and any third house thing. So it also can be a love of animals. All these things are going to be affected because it's right on his Uranus. Uranus is the unexpected, and that could mean he could get an unexpected opportunity to do something that I just indicated. And and it falls into your 11th house, again, the flip-flop. So his is third year, excuse me, not 11th, the 9th.
9th.
So, and for you, it falls, so his Uranus is at 25, Leo. Your sun is at 24. So, I'm looking, you have Uranus at 9, Virgo. So, it's really going to affect your sun and your sense of self as a person who has something to teach and something to give, and a higher spirituality, and definitely very strong energy around creativity, but also telling your story almost outside of the commitment to your husband, because that's your marriage, and the 8th house is commitment. Sun and Mars are in that house right now. The sun exits that house and goes into the 9th, which means it's more about finding yourself and finding a higher understanding of who you are and your connectedness to the world. Like, what is your expression and story in the world, and taking back authority of your own identity and creativity. So, and there is again, it's Leo, so it's taking risks. It's showing a creative energy. It's being in the arts. It's being the center stage. It's having that royal demeanor. And, lately I've been watching this show on Netflix called Reign about Mary Queen of Scots. And in watching that, it's really interesting to see how attracted, because I have Venus in Leo, it's how attracted I am to that royal energy right now, where it's like, it is almost that sense of entitlement, but it's what it is, and what's really beautiful about it is this centering of self and knowing that you have the riches and the fortune that can come to you. Everybody does, if you believe in it. So, we have that, and you have that sun in Leo, and it's like, let it in. Let it come to you. And so I think that
I just wonder as a whole, so because it's his 9th, or my 9th and his 3rd, how that overall affects as a whole the two of us.
It means that you both are connected through education, potentially, that there's an energy that you both are teachers. And you both have the connection to that childlike energy of curiosity and wanting to find new things and really loving that playfulness. So, but it's around seeking information. That's really kind of the common thread, is the seeking of information and playfulness around it. And then you have a lot of Virgo energy up there, so you are a teacher. I mean, you have part of your life plan. You came in to understand spirituality, maybe intellectually, but also to seek out spiritual side of things and the higher, broader understanding and perspective of things. Because you have Uranus in that house, which is unusual, so you're seeking out. Uranus is always information. It's always, they want to know more. The most curious sign of the zodiac planet is Uranus, and the sign of Aquarius. And so there is always that wanting to know, but you want to do it differently. You have alternative ways of understanding. Pluto is digging deep and researching, but also giving the world something that they may not have remembered, or that's there and it was lost. So it's like, it's really Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, okay? Or even the Raiders of the Lost Ark. What you're doing is you're going for the jewel, which is Leo, and you're seeking it out so that you can bring something that may have been lost to the world, the Ark. How about that? Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then bring it out and say, look what we have. Isn't this amazing? Look at these antiquities. And then you have Mercury, which is the teacher. Mercury wants to teach, wants to give people wisdom. And you have a ton of that in your chart. I have chills all over my legs. I'm having a really good day for for spirits. Like coming through like crazy. I'm lit up like a tree. Christmas tree.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
I love that.
Yeah.
So can I just ask you really quickly, what would be the one thing that I would need to be aware of for my own good as far as the eclipse? What could possibly be something I need to be on the lookout for, maybe? Be aware of?
Opportunities to travel. That's probably a strong thing that'll come in.
Yeah.
When Mars, let me look real quick when Mars gets to 24 Leo, because that's going to also be a great push. It's the end of the month. So
my daughter wants to go to Denmark with me.
Oh my goodness, wonderful. The 29th of August is
okay.
Okay. Well, after the 29th of August, that's when Mars gets into your house of travel, and there's going to be a lot of travel coming up over September. So, yeah.
Oh, great. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Actually, September and most of October. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Shelley.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for the call, Angie.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Talk to you again soon. Okay, bye. Okay, let's go to 336. Hi, 336. How are you?
Hi, Shelley. It's Karen.
Hi, Karen. Got you right here.
How are you?
I'm doing well. So you have a question.
Zooming today.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I'm on fire, aren't I? What the heck?
It's exciting. It's very cool.
It is.
Okay, as I'm doing research on all of this, yesterday I was reading, a nationally known astrologer on her just general monthly blog, forecast deal. And she referenced, such and such a planet is in, this house or that house. Now, we know that in a natal chart, the houses are determined by the ascendant, where the ascendant is.
Right.
But when you're doing a general chart, when you're doing a general forecast like that, how does she base? Where does she start? Does she start?
Well, I'm guessing.
Noon or?
I'm guessing. Usually a natural chart. So my program has the option to do a natural chart, which puts 0 degrees Aries on the rising sign, which is the beginning of the zodiac. So when you put 0 degrees Aries on the horizon, then every planet falls into its natural house. So I'm assuming, the other thing with horoscopes, though, is when you do a horoscope, like when I was doing horoscopes, I kind of stopped for a while because it just got to be too much with all the other things I'm doing, so I kind of put that on the back burner for the time being. But doing a reading for each sign means that when I do it, I shift and rotate the chart. I'll print out a natural chart. Say I do the April horoscopes. April 1st, 2017, I will put the Aries on it, and then I'll do everybody's reading for that month, but I'll do it like midnight April 1st. And then I'll print it out, and it's a natural chart, 0 degrees Aries, and then I'll rotate it for when I dictate my horoscope. So when I rotate it, I'll rotate it for Taurus on the horizon. So that's for the people who are Taurus sun or Taurus rising. And then I'll rotate it to Gemini, and I'll rotate it. So every time I read that particular sign, that's the one that's on the cusp. So if she's doing a general reading, it's usually starting Aries at 0 degrees for the rising sign, because that's a natural chart.
Okay, so if I was reading my own sign on her page, Aquarius, then she would have Aquarius at 0 degrees horizon?
That's how it's right. And that's the only thing about horoscopes is that unless you know your rising sign, if it's just your sun sign, you're reading your chart. Like say I've got you down as a Scorpio rising, 12 degrees. Is that right?
Right.
So you have a Scorpio on the horizon, so all the houses fall in line around that, and when the planets go through the houses, they trigger different events. Like right now you have Mars at your midheaven. Well, if you're doing an Aquarius horoscope, it's true for a degree. You can read charts with just the sun sign, but a truly accurate reading would be the rising sign, so that you know this is where my planets fall naturally.
Yeah,
and then
I knew that. And I think what I was actually after was a way to compare what she said. Like, okay, she's saying something is when a planet is in the 9th house. How does that actually fall? How does that actually correspond to my natal chart? That's I figured if I could figure out how she did her reading, then I could compare.
Yeah, I guess it depends on, well, first off, if you do know some astrology, you know where the planets are, and you know your own chart, you can figure out where that planet's falling in your own chart. But if you don't do astrology, if she's giving it, I mean, if she's doing a general reading, she just has an article and doesn't do individual horoscopes, assume that it is 0 degrees Aries on the horizon. And if she does the horoscope, then she's putting basically the sun becomes the cusp, and she'll put your sun sign, it's equivalent to your sun sign, as the horizon. So like, I'm a Virgo sun, I'll read the Virgo astrology. But I know that I have a Scorpio rising, and you do too, so I also read Scorpio when I read other people's horoscopes. Because I know when they talk about, you're going to have some event happen in your home, in your family life, I know that that's accurate to me because those planets are transiting my home sector of my chart. So, that help?
That does help, and that also brought up another question. It seems to me like I'm seeing a lot about this eclipse in relationship to the 4th house.
For you?
This is really people in general, like the president and different aspects where it seems to be hitting. It seems to be activating or triggering something in the 4th house, home and family area.
Okay. Well, honestly, the president has so much stuff going on with this eclipse. I think I know he has Pluto in Leo, so he probably has the eclipse on his Pluto in Leo because he was roughly right. It was right before Pluto went into Virgo, so I'm pretty sure it's going to fall on his Pluto, which is major life change. And as far as the rest of the 4th house stuff, I don't know what people are saying. I know the country. I go by the Scorpio rising for the country. And so that also puts all the energy up in the public eye and authority. And I definitely think as a country we are having our authority issues. And, I could get into so much about that. But
I know it.
No, I mean, for the country, like I said, because I go by the Scorpio rising chart, it's in the 4th house. Or not the 4th house, excuse me, the 10th house, which is career, public eye, government, structure, all of that. So that's the country. As far as anyone else reading it for the 4th house, I don't know why, because it would have to be probably more specific to someone else's rising sign. Because for you, it's different. Well, I was going to say for you it's different than me, but it's really not because we both have Scorpio rising. So it's a career for us, career and life purpose. So.
Yeah, it's definitely in my 10th house. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that definitely helps. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, great talking to you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, let's take 407. Hi, 407. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Shelley?
Good. Who is this?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, I know you've called before, and I cannot find. Yeah. You have, haven't you?
Yes.
I can't find your chart. I've had. Wait a minute. What's your birthday? Yeah.
10/29/70.
Okay. Let me just get that in here real quick.
Okay.
Okay. You said it was 10/29.
10/29/70.
Okay.
11:42 a.m. Frankfurt, Germany.
Okay. And what can I do for you today?
Can you tell me how the eclipse are going to affect my chart, or if there's anything significant going on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can do that. Okay, so let's see what you got here. Okay, so you have 25 degrees Sagittarius rising, and all the energy is in your house of commitment, the Scorpio house, which is the 8th house, and it's a lot of drama, and drama around relationships, probably drama around mom, if mom's around, and if not, mother figures or a maternal side of things, although interestingly, it's in Leo. Leo can also be dad, but yeah, it's going to be within 2 degrees of your south node in Virgo. So it's kind of wrapping up a story, I want to say, around how you see yourself as your parents' child and committing to yourself and to your own vision of who you are and really embracing the child side of you. And it really is kind of a death and rebirth about ownership of who you are and the need to be nurtured. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Yeah, and I want to say you probably have somebody going through your life right now who's, you're at odds with and being a bit difficult with you, because Vesta, the asteroid Vesta, is literally 2 degrees off of Mercury right now, and it's within 4 degrees of the cusp at the end of your house of commitment, also the same house that the eclipse is going to hit for you. So definitely you've got a lot of energy around women and someone who's being difficult for you, and it's around joint finances and anything that's scorpionic. It's politics, it's law, legalities, inheritance, research. I mean, it's passion, it's commitment, it's how you value yourself, how others value you. And that's really the key to what's going to happen with the eclipse is how do you value you? And it'll be an aha moment for you in that regard.
Okay. Anything else you see going on that's relevant?
Yeah. The retrograde of Uranus is right on the cusp of your home and family house. So you're going to spend the next 5 months kind of going back over maybe some details, like if you've been wanting to move or own your own house, you're kind of having
we just did move.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might move again. There's probably another unexpected move in your future. And I would say next year is probably when it'll happen because Uranus goes into Taurus. It'll also be in Aries before May. And when it's in, let me just look real quick. Hang on. Well, I thought I had my ephemeris open, but I only went to the search page. Let me just find it for you.
Okay.
Uranus. So it's going to be 28. Yeah, all of March and April pretty much is going to be, March, April, and May are going to be significant months for you around the house. And I wouldn't say you would move again, but it's Uranus, and Uranus means the unexpected. So, and it's also moving, it's significantly changing signs. So what's happening is it's giving you a very strong desire to be more independent with property and the home. And so when that happens, and it's also agriculture, so it may also, I mean, there are going to be some strong shifts for our society around this, but also for you personally around the home, is that we're going to start to go into a cycle of paying much more attention to the chemicals in agriculture and the chemicals in food, and that's Uranus and Taurus, and that falls into your house of home and family. So I would say because of that, you're going to start to go, I want to have space to grow my own food. Mercury, or not Mercury, Pluto's going forward in Capricorn to the end degrees. So it's also about the earth. And I think that trine energy, and you have Pluto at 28 Virgo. So that's also triggering, when Pluto moves into Capricorn, it's going to be trining your native Pluto, which is going to be a shift in how you look at things spiritually and how you look at integrating different ideas and values. And I think all that's going to be reflected around the home. And so definitely there's an opportunity. Yeah. Uranus is literally just on the cusp by 4 minutes of time, which is huge, going into your house of home and family. And when that happens next year, early next year, it's going to really shift how you look at the family life and what you want out of it. And then not only does it change into your 4th house, but then it changes signs once it gets in there. Later on in the year, it retrogrades and goes back briefly into Aries, and then makes its final return in 2019 into your house of home and family for the next 8, and I can't remember the cycle of Uranus, 8 to 10 years. So it might be a little longer than that. I think it's around 10 years. It'll be in that house.
Okay. Sounds like a long time.
It is. It's so long, let me tell you. Yeah. It takes 80 years to go through a whole zodiac. So 80 divided by 12. All right?
Yep. All right. So, thank you very much, Shelley. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, my pleasure. It was good talking to you.
Have a great day.
Okay, take care. You too. Bye. And to those I didn't get to, I'm sorry. Call in next week, please, and we can talk some more. And, give me a jingle or email at Shelley at astrologerangel.com, and that's EY, Shelley with an EY. And you can arrange a private reading if you want to know more about the eclipse and how it's going to affect you. And you can check out my website, astrologerangel.com. Thank you for listening. Talk to you next week. Take care. Batten down the hatches. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodrain.com.
To subscribe, please click the picture of Shelley on the right or the red button below.